Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of Baxi Cam. Now Gasfitter78 has been in touch and he's asked a couple of questions about a GA boiler. Now GA stands for gas adaptive, so the boilers can work on natural gas or LPG. We've done a couple of models over the years. The one I'm going to be working on today is this fella right here, which is the Potterton Promax Ultra. Now we also did the Baxi Tech GA and also the Duotech 2. Now what I thought I'd do for you, mate, is give you a quick tour around the display. I'll show you how to reset the SD code, which is the service due message. I'll show you how to get it into chimney sweep mode, and also, if you need to, do a recalibration. So enough talking, let's get pressing some buttons. So the first thing I want to walk you through is how to remove the SD code. So SD stands for service due. Unfortunately, the S looks like a 5. So your customers might phone you and say, my boiler's showing a fault code of 5D. And what it actually is the boiler needs a service. Okay, so every 333 days or so, the boiler comes up with an SD code and you have to go out and obviously do the service and reset the code. So what you want to do with the radiator plus and the minus, you want to hold those down until the display says P01. There we go. And now with the radiator plus up to P22, and then press the IP button, which stands for information and parameters. So we press that to OK it. Goes to 00. Change that to 15. And this is just resetting the countdown, if you like. Press IP again to confirm. Goes back to P22. Press reset, and there you go. You're back to the beginning. So you can do the service on the boiler, and the SD code will go for you. So what I'd like to talk to you about next is how to reset the boiler, and also how to view some of the information readings on the boiler as well. So resetting the boiler sounds like a bit of an easy task, but to be honest with you, there's a bit of a knack to it on this one, because if you press the reset button in too long, you'll end up turning the display off, and the fault code will actually remain once you turn the display back on. So I'll just show you that first of all. So this is the reset button in the top right hand corner with the R on it. So if I press and hold it, thinking I'm resetting it, and what you will find is there'll be a little power symbol in the bottom right hand corner on the display there. So all you've done is turn the display off. Now if we wake him back up by pressing him in, you'll see the fault code remains. There he is, E110. Okay, so this boiler was overheated, or someone's been playing around and whipped one of the wires off the overheat step, i.e. me. So what I used to say to people is press the reset button, or treat the reset button like a doorbell, because it's not the pressing of the button that resets it, it's the releasing of it, would you believe. So all you need to do is just go ding dong like that, and that'll reset the boiler for you. Okay, so now you can see we're back to our normal display with a picture of a tap on. So I've turned the heating off on this one just to prevent it firing up while I'm doing the video. Next, what I want to talk about is the information and parameter button, or the IP button. So if you press and hold that one for a bit until it goes to I00, so that will show you an error subcode. So if you did have a fault code on the boiler, you might also have an additional error subcode on there as well. So if I press the IP button again, it will go to 01. So that is the central heating temperature sensor, or the primary temperature sensor. If I press it again, this 02 one should be blank, because that would be if we've got a weather comp fitted on it, which we haven't on this boiler. So press them again to 03. That will be the domestic hot water temperature sensor, and 04 should be the same, to be honest with you. That is also the domestic hot water temperature sensor. 05 is the pressure inside the boiler, so you don't have to look underneath at the pressure gauge. So there you go, 1.2 bar. Number 6 is the return temperature sensor. There he is. And number 7 would be the flue temperature sensor. So that's a couple of little bits and pieces of information that you can access by pressing that button. So once you're done, press the reset button and you'll go back to your normal display. When we're doing a service on this boiler, after you've done all your visual checks and you've stripped the boiler down and it's time to do the combustion readings, then all you need to do is press the radiator plus and the IP button together at the same time. keep them pressed and held in, then the display will say on and 304. So 304 for us is chimney sweep mode. As you can see, it's saying 304 and 100. That is maximum rate, that is 100% of the fan that is running. So now with the radiator minus, if I just press him once, now that value will change depending on what boiler you're actually working on. Okay, so that is actually the ignition rate, which you should also be checking on this boiler. But we're going to knock him down on the radiator minus again, and he'll say 00304. So that is actually a minimum rate, that is. So we'll just wait for the speed of the fan to completely drop off. So you don't have your analyzer in just yet. So just wait for the boiler to settle down. And if we turn our analyzer on, hopefully you'll be able to see this. Pop them in the sample point, and then just let your analyzer do its thing. Now we do also have a limited adjustment on this, so if your readings aren't what you expect them to be, you can actually trim them if you like. On this boiler in particular that I'm working on, this is a natural gas one, so the readings I'm looking for at maximum ignition rate and minimum rate are 9% plus or minus 0.8. So we've got quite a big tolerance. But if it is out of that tolerance, then we can actually trim it down. So we'll wait for him to settle down on minimum. So it's 9.6, so he's still alright. See if he goes any higher. Yeah, 9.8, there we go, 10.1. So we're actually outside of the parameters now, we're outside of the tolerances. So if we want to adjust it ourselves, what we do, we press the IP button when we're in minimum rate, so we kind of enter the minimum there, and all you can see there is 0.3, and basically I've been playing around with it just to show you. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to knock that down bit by bit, so I've knocked it down to 0.1. See what that does to our combustion readings now. That should bring them down hopefully. So you can either go +3 or -3 as well. Okay, so if your readings are too low, you can bring them up. If they're too high, you can bring them down slightly. Like I say, it is a limited adjustment value. Hopefully you'll be able to see what that's done to our combustion readings now. We're at 9.4, 9.3. I'm still in that limited adjustment as well because it says 0.1. Let's knock him down and we'll see what he does. Let's go down to -3. I mean, you wouldn't be doing it that quick because your readings might kind of bounce all over the place, but for the purpose of the video I just want to show you that you can actually alter the combustion readings if you're slightly out. So we're at 9.4. Let's give him a second to settle down. Yeah, he's dropping again. Dropping right off. So now let's bring him back up. What I suggest you do is just do it one increment at a time and just wait for your analyzer to settle down. You don't want to be banging it down to, you know, -3 straight away. It's coming back up. .9. Knock him up one more, so we're at -1. So it starts usually at 0 and then you can go -1, -2, -3, or the other side of the 0, 1, 2 and 3. Once you're happy with what you've done with that limited adjustment, then all you need to do is lock him in with the information and parameter button. Lock him in like that, and he goes back to 304 and 00. Now if you remember, 00 is at minimum rate. So we've done our little adjustment on minimum, so now we can knock him up. 41, 304 and 41. So 41 on this boiler is just ignition rate. Like I say, that may change depending on what boiler you're actually working on. But the readings are the same, it's 9% plus or minus 0.8. So let's wait for him. Just be patient with these. So you can normally hear the fan speed start picking up. So once you've adjusted it from minimum to ignition rate. So just wait for the fan speed to pick up. Probably won't be able to hear the fan speed, to be honest, because of the extraction fans we've got in the training centre. But here we go, look, he's dropping a bit. The fan speed's picking up all of a sudden now, so it did take a while. So you just have to be patient with these ones. Okay, he seems to be settling down around about 8.8. So I'd be happy with that, to be perfectly honest. But if you do want to kind of knock him up a little bit, remember, just enter into the parameter. So now look, it's gone to 0, 0. That's not minimum, that's the limited adjustment function that we've got. Okay, so we can plus him up 1, so our combustion readings will go up. So let's see what they go up to now. But you have to just give him a chance to settle down. There he goes, it's going up a little bit. But you can see when you do your fine adjustments, then your parts per million are rising as well. So if we knock him down a couple, there we go, at -1 now, we should see our parts per million start dropping. Obviously, if your readings are massively out, I'd be checking the air intake on this as well as your working pressures as well. There you go, you can see I've kind of reduced it a little bit in our parts per million, and the CO2 percentage is coming down as well. Let's whack him back up, so we're at -1, let's get him to 0. Okay, so he's settling there, so I'll be happy with that. So all we need to do is lock him in. So we lock him in like that, and now we'll go to 304 and 41. We're back on the ignition right now. What we need to do now is check the maximum rate. So 304, which is still chimney sweep mode, and 100, and that is maximum rate, that is. So after a few seconds you'll hear the speed of the fan start picking up, and then you know you're in max rate then. If you're on a small system, you might need to open the hot tap in the bath just to get some heat away from the boiler. I can hear that fan speed now, it's picked up to 100%, that has. So just give your analyzer a few seconds, let it stabilise, and then we'll see if we need to kind of do any fine adjustments on it. See, he's dropping a little bit, but don't panic too much just yet. Just let your analyzer do its thing, let it stabilise. Okay, he's kind of settling around about 8.7ish. What we'll do then, we'll increase him. So remember, just go into the parameter by pressing IP. Now it should say, ooh, so someone's been playing around with this one. So let's knock him up then. So let's just knock him up by 1. So our 8.7 should go up. Don't panic if he drifts off lower to begin with, because he should just start picking himself back up. Let's increase him again. So from, there we go. Just knock him up another 1. So we'll go from -1 to 0, 0 now. But usually 0 is where it starts off with, if provided no one's been playing around with it previously. I mean, I'll be happy with any of these readings I'm getting anyway, but for the purpose of the video, just to show you that you can actually do some fine adjustments to it. There we go, 9%, bang on. So all we need to do is lock him in with the IP button, IP, and he should go back to 304 and 100. There we go, so we're still in max rate. Now to bring him out of maximum rate, we go radiator plus and IP. So the same way we went into combustion. Keep them pressed in, your display will go back to what you're used to seeing. There he is, temperature of the boiler. We've got the heating actually switched off, so you can also see that putting it into chimney sweep mode overrides your controls as well. Okay. Okay then, in the next bit I want to talk about recalibrating the boiler. Now you can recalibrate the boiler at any time you like. Me personally, I used to recalibrate it on every service. So I used to do a strip down service, clean the heat exchanger out, give the electrodes a clean, give the flame sensing electrode a clean as well, and then pop it into recalibration. Now if you've changed the fan, the gas valve, the injector or the RDS stick, you must do a recalibration. Okay, but like I say, you can do it anytime you like. So what we're looking at is the radiator minus button and the reset. So you want to press them two together, and you press and hold them till you see on in the display. As soon as it says on in the display, you need to hit the IP button. So radiator minus and reset, press and hold those two together. As soon as it says on, hit the IP button. There we go. And now what you can see is the current temperature of the boiler, alternating with 41, which on this boiler is the given value for ignition rate, and also the tap and the radiator symbols flashing. So it's not going to fire up straight away, it's going to have a couple of attempts. So it's having a go now. What it's doing, it's actually adjusting that perfect gas air mixture for us. It's going to have another go in a minute. Here we go. There we go, it's lit. So there's the temperature of the boiler going up now, and it still says 41, so it's still in ignition rate. Little flame symbols on as well, so we know the burner's on. And now the board is going to electronically adjust the gas valve for us. Now it's gone up to 100%, so in a little while we'll hear the speed of the fan ramping right up to 100. There we go. So if you're on a small system, it might be worth just keeping an eye on the temperature there, and if it does start reaching anywhere near the 80s, open up a hot tap, take the heat away from the boiler. Now if you have a look there, you can see a little P and a spanner symbol as well, so there's some little adjustment going on there. So the board is electronically adjusting the gas valve for us right now. It's really important as well that you don't put your flue gas analyzer in when you're doing a recalibration, as you run the risk of melting your analyzer, because it's trying to get that perfect combustion setup for us. So the readings will be bouncing around all over the place if you were to put your analyzer in, but trust me, you don't want to be doing it, not in a recal. Once he's set himself up on maximum rate, which is 100, then he should drop himself down. Now this can take anything up to 5 minutes. But me personally, if I'm changing a gas valve on this boiler, I'd also be fitting a flame sensing electrode as well, because the flame sensing electrode current on this is vitally important to the boiler. So you want a really good flame signal. Now look, he's adjusting him again, so he's still in maximum rate, but he's tweaking him round for us, and once he's happy he'll just drop down. So when he does drop down, you'll hear the speed of the fan coming down as well. Another thing to note as well is while you're doing a recal, you need to have the front cover on as well. Go, he's dropped down to 41, which is ignition rate, but that could depend on the boiler you're working on. So, but this one I'm working on here, its given value for ignition rate is 41. There we go, he's tweaking him round for us now. And when he does eventually drop to 00, which is minimum, if the boiler starts making a bit of a noise, don't worry too much about it. It's just going to kind of tweak it round, so you might hear him kind of hooting a little bit, but if it does do that, then the circuit board will alter that combustion for you. Here we go, we're at 0 now. 00, so that's minimum rate. So he's still in recalibration. You'll know when he's finished as well, because the tap, the radiator and the flame symbol, they all flash together. Now I don't know if you can hear that, it's kind of making a little bit of a whiny noise, but the circuit board is going to electronically There we go, adjust the gas valve for us. There's our little spanner now. Okay, well that looks like it's finished, because we've got the tap flashing, the radiator symbol flashing and the flame flashing. We've got the little P in the spanner, so that to me says it's all done. So now all we need to do to come out of Recal is press the reset button, and it will say ESC as an escape. Then it will go back to your normal display there. And then what we can do is actually check the combustion then. So like the video we did before, radiator plus and IP to get it into service function. And then it will say on and 304. And 100. 100 is max rate. So the boiler's going to fire up at maximum rate for us. So give it a few seconds before you put your analyzer in. But you can monitor those combustion readings now that the board has set up for you and see how that goes. Right then guys and girls, hope you found that video useful. Hope you're all staying safe and your families are doing well. Until next time, take care.